So just a quick little agenda. We've got a welcome. We'll do some intros. I'll give you guys what to expect. And then I've got some secret sauce for you today. I know I said today was just going to be an intro call, but I actually wanted to bring you some value and deal with some things that I think are probably one of the biggest hindrances to understanding sales. So we'll lay some groundwork. And then rather than, Q&A or office hours or after hours, we call it the hero huddle. I'm just using different words so I don't get in trouble. Need my own language, but that'll be the hero huddle. Let's see what we've got here. It's not working. Not working. Love you, PowerPoint. Okay, let's do introductions. Name, business name, and what you focus on. Design, dev, marketing, whatever, and your political affiliation. Let's not do that. And then tell us one thing about yourself that maybe nobody knows or is like surprising, like nobody would guess it. Like if Gretchen were here, she'd be like, I'm a Lego, what is it, master builder? So yeah, one thing
nailed it.
Nobody knows. That's really interesting. And let's start with Tempe. Tempe, go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Tempe Chrislabar, and I guess I'll use my one thing nobody knows with my name because it pertains to that.
Cool.
So me and my wife, her last name was Bartlett and my last name was Christie, and we cut our names up and came up with Chrislabar, so it's not a real name. We made our own name.
So you guys made up your own name?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
awesome.
pretty cool.
And so business name, Metaprism Creative. We came up with that name because we were trying to come up with something because our niche is going to be the LGBT business owners, but we didn't want it to be too obvious, but we wanted it to be obvious enough to the people who it mattered to. Because our inspiration was like Duke was wearing a Soundgarden shirt, and I was like, hey, I love Soundgarden and how they came up with their name. It just speaks so much about who they are. I'm like, hey, let's something like that. So, and well,
that brings back memories.
I'm pretty liberal, so we can just get that out of the way.
I was only kidding. That was just something to lighten the mood because everybody wants to talk about politics. Of course, That's a great subject.
Yeah.
And let's see. How about Duke? Duke, go ahead. There's Cliff. Welcome, Cliff.
What up, everyone?
I am John Shriver, aka Duke.
The Duke.
Business name and focus. Tempe already went over that. Metaprism Creative. We are going to empower the LGBT community by influencing their financial situation, which will give them more influence in real life and in their community and in everything. So one thing about me that no one knows, most people don't know that I'm a pretty, I'm pretty introverted, but I'm really good at, I guess I'm an introvert extrovert. I don't know, because I have a flip I switch that, like I can get myself out of it.
That's actually called a mood disorder, is what that is? No.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me. And no political affiliations.
How about Barbara? Barbara, welcome.
Hey, I'm Barbara. I own and manage Word Revolution. I have absolutely no political affiliation, thank the Lord. I also can't vote in this country, so that makes it really easy to just be wherever you want to be. Yep. One thing you probably don't know about me, one day back when, like, a few years ago, I decided to buy wedding dresses off of eBay and sell them out of my living room. So
Really?
We had a wedding dress business out of my living room, and we basically 10x the investment. And my husband had to bring some of those when he would come to the U.S. because this was in Brazil. So he had some trips that were pretty interesting where I told him, you're going to get this luggage. You're going to fill it with wedding dresses. And if somebody asks anything, you just tell them that you do some theater shows. So he would sneak literally like wedding dresses from the US into Brazil from eBay.
Wow.
You make money.
That's crazy.
I don't usually hear people sneaking dresses from Brazil to.
Yeah, and we ended up in a magazine in Brazil because we were like the U.S. designer wedding dresses in Rio. So
Very cool.
yeah, there you go.
Well, glad you.
I'm sure you guys didn't know that about me. It worked.
How about Trina? Trina, welcome.
Hello, good to see you guys. I'm Trina Fisher, and my business is Left Right Labs. My business partner, Gretchen Cawthon, most of you probably know or know of. She's infamous in good and bad ways. No, I'm just kidding. Something you may or may not know, I'm not sure how many of you know, Gretchen and I were actually in a band together for 9 years and recorded an album in Nashville back in 2010. So that's a random thing that not everybody knows. So that was a lot of fun, and it's super funny. We didn't realize it then, but literally this was just like last year we realized, wait a minute, we were really operating as visionary and integrator even in that band and just didn't realize it. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Awesome. And Cliff.
Yeah, my name's Clifford Almeida. I know most of you, so I'm guessing you know who I am. I run a web agency here in Phoenix, Arizona. I also am the SaaS founder of myweboudit.com that helps web agency owners discover growth insights for their customers to help them during their sales and discovery processes. Shoot, I hear a lot of interesting things. I would say so one thing people don't know about me personally is that I was legally considered blind at one point based off of US standards. I've had over 8 surgeries in both my eyes. I say that because, and you know, the son of an immigrant, my dad's actually sitting over here with me. He has bad eyes too, but we haven't let the challenges in our life hold us back. Right. And so John shared a lot about how you just got to get stuff done and move forward. And so I'd say that, you know, that was probably one of the biggest challenges for me, but I haven't let that become my handicap. One cool thing that outside of like my business stuff was before I worked a regular 9 to 5, I had the governor of Arizona actually write my recommendation letter for grad school. So I used to, yeah, so I could pick up the phone and call a lot of people in DC. Not now, but maybe, and so we won't talk political affiliations here, but you know, that's kind of cool. So I've done some neat things in the government sector before.
Awesome. Well, I'm Jonathan, and my company is Revenue Love. Our focus is sales training, really to make people master the art of sales. Because I think most sales is taught from a standpoint of the customer's wrong. You got to handle the objections, perform wallet surgery, and sell, you know, and I don't think that's consulting them. So the goal of everything, we're stuck.
We're good.
There we go. We're back. Everybody froze for a second there. So I lost my train of thought. Political affiliation, I identify as a Canadian. Number one thing, there is something about me that I don't think anybody knows or would even guess. I love B movies, like crappy B movies. Shalane and I will search the depths of Xfinity to find the worst movies possible, and we love them. It's super fun.
That's awesome.
Nate, you made it. Welcome, Nate.
Hey guys, I'm late.
That's all right. You're right on time. Welcome to the introduction hour. So introduce yourself, name, business name, one thing about you nobody knows or is super interesting or funny.
Okay, I'm Nate from Muller Marketing. I'm actually rebranding to Web 801 and been in business officially on my own since 2010, but I started the business back in 2006. as a side gig while I was working at a mentoring company. Go figure. And something no one knows about me. I'll never show you guys this, but I know how to clog.
That's awesome.
I clogged in the Salt Lake City Olympics.
Amazing.
So there you go.
I think Nate wins. That is amazing.
Did you say in the Olympics?
I need to know what
clogged
that
in the opening ceremonies in Salt Lake at the Olympics. Yep.
Wow.
That's a really good clogger. Like that's not, yeah.
My
I'm
first
afraid to
website-
Google it, guys.
Yeah, my first website was clogon.com.
Wow. I'm actually making a
That
note
is
of
next
that.
level. Yep.
We're going to be able to use that someday. Someday.
Royalty.
So let's go around the room, and you guys don't have to take a long time with this. Your answer can be super short. How are we going to define success for you individually? Because I really want to help. All of you have different goals. You're at different places in your businesses. So we've got 5 weeks. What does it look like at the end of 5 weeks? Is there an opportunity or problem in your business that you're trying to fix? I mean, I know it's sales, but usually it's more than that. There's some overall goal. So let's go around the room and see how you're going to define success so I can help you get there. Tempe, you want to kick us off?
Well, we started this about 3-4 weeks ago, and we've been trucking away, getting as much as we can, done as the new perfect kind of stuff. But we've kind of hit a roadblock of, okay, now what is it? What are the main things that we need to do besides, SEO and those things that take time to develop a pipeline? Yeah. What do we need to do right now so that we can meet some goals of, we were actually talking, I would like it if we could do $8,000 to $10,000 in February.
Cool. So really driving revenue. You got to drive revenue, get the sales going. Then
we've got a lot of stuff we need to do, and but it's like, I don't know what it is, that one specific thing, because he's done a couple of cold calls. I've reached out to a bunch of people on Facebook. I
emailed Rosie O'Donnell yesterday to ask her to do a website for free so she'd be our champion.
Never do work for free. I don't care if it's the president of the United States.
Well, I asked her if we could do it in exchange for like testimonial and some things like that, because
we'll go over that kind of stuff just to pop your bubble real quick. If it's free, it's not worth anything, and people get that offer a lot. They really do. And I used to do that. So I'm speaking from experience. Yeah. And what I would do, so if you want to invest in somebody like that, and I'll just take a little side note here. If you want to invest, your barometer is very simple. If you had the money to pay for their website, would you? Right? If you had $5,000, would you do it? Would you give it to them so that they could? That's your barometer, right? So if you really believe in somebody, put your money where your mouth is, because you're actually giving away money. Time is money and all that. But that's a good barometer. So I've done that, and we've done free work for nonprofits, or cost work and stuff like that. Right. But it's because I actually believed in them, and I would have, donated and given money if that's what they asked for. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, little side note there. Go ahead.
And I, sorry to interrupt, Tempe, but I think I mentioned to you, Jonathan, that my goal along with what her goal is if we could get like 3 recurring revenue people clients by the end of February, that would be an amazing accomplishment. So
you can do it.
Go.
Awesome. Barbara.
So I'm actually in a very interesting season, because January was by far our best month ever in all areas, like as far as revenue, as far as margin. My biggest need right now is actually get to a point where I hear often, John, and this comes from clients saying, "Oh, I feel like I need to pay you more for this," or "Oh, I feel like I owe you more than what you gave me. Like there's a disconnect between the value they're getting and how much I'm charging.
Mhm.
Okay. So the sale piece is actually not an issue. Like I feel like if I can put them through discovery,
Yeah.
they will buy. But I'm
So
at
it's
that point
more
where
of
I
a
feel like
mechanic?
I need to push it a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Where it's going to cause some clients to start saying no. But then the whole like this is the mindset thing. The whole like, man, if I charge this, I know I'm profitable. I know I can execute. I know I'm not going to be wasting my resources. And so how to find that balance where I want to push it. I know I need to push it up. But if I stay where I am, it's not going to break my systems. Does that make sense? So
It does.
I'm trying to figure it out, like how to find a good, I don't know, like how to measure that. Like when do I know it's too high? When do I know it's too low? And I don't have a way to figure that, except right now I just look at margin. Am I making money? Yes. Am I executing with excellence? Yes, because I don't want to fail on one side or the other.
So that's, I call that the mechanics of the sales process. You know, the mechanics, all that, the engine that drives sales, the pricing, the process, the education, everything that leads up to, here you go, sign here to become a customer. That's all mechanics, and we'll be going over that kind of stuff. I can say with pretty good certainty, maybe aside from one or two of you, we all undercharge. You know, we're all leaving money on the table, and sometimes that's okay. Sometimes that's okay, but sometimes it's also, you know, to do great work and to be excited about your customers, the ones that pay you the most are usually the happiest. That's usually how it works. So awesome. Glad you're here. Awesome. You made it today. Cliff, what would success look like for you?
I'm looking to just refine my sales process, John, so that I can take it and leverage it by hiring someone else to do it. Because obviously that's the biggest area in my business that I haven't been able to delegate. So I'm looking to refine it, build it into a process, and then see how much of it I can delegate, especially around the SaaS side, because I do it for both companies right now.
Perfect. Create a mini-me.
Yep.
Awesome. Nate. I think you're muted, Nate. No audio. Got no audio for Nate.
Yep,
there he goes.
So yeah, last year was my best year yet in revenue. So what I'm looking for this year is strategic growth, like how to scale, I do, and I'm a virtual agency. I feel like since I met John a couple of years ago, I'm a mini him. I'm a sales guy, not a coder. I love selling. I love going out and talking to people, but I source stuff overseas I have agency contractors that I've worked with for 5 years. But I have a couple hiccups. One is content, like getting the content in the best, most time effective way. That seems to drag projects on. And then I really don't get leads hardly ever. I mean, I get referrals from past clients, or I get repeat business, but my website doesn't hardly ever bring in qualified leads. And I don't really go out and proactively push to like a niche market. So that's what I'm looking to do this year, or with this course and this year.
Awesome. Trina, finish us off here.
All righty. And I realized that in the intros, I totally forgot to mention what our niche is.
Yeah,
Gretchen and I do branding for health and wellness influencers. So, you know, brand strategy, the actual branding, web design development, and automations. But really just kind of looking at that brand as a whole. And we've leveled up in ways I didn't know we could over the last year, which is really exciting. My thing with sales is once I get into a conversation with people, it's fine. And I don't feel like I have a low close rate. My issue is really more like, I know I'm not showing up with the amount of presence that I should. I don't have the confidence that I should. And I've started to learn over the last year as I've networked with more people, oh, we know way more than I thought we did. I just don't know the fancy words for it, right? And so for me, it's really like, okay, how do I get those scripts dialed in? How do I get my objections set up? I mean, we're closing, but I know it could be better and that I could be showing up feeling more confident. So I'm not worried about that in the back of my head, and I'm able to put my full attention on what their needs are. And that's what I really want to do, is just be like fully present in those conversations instead of focused on whatever silly little insecurities I have.
So do you feel like right now you're kind of winging it? There's not like a
yeah, I mean, we have a loose process.
Okay.
But, we're walking them through discovery, which we call our Get Clear workshop. We're doing all of that, but it's not as refined as it could be. So we have like this loose outline I'm following, which that's kind of my style. Like if I do public speaking, that kind of thing, I do an outline, and then I'm better at flowing in the moment. But I know if I could just have a list of the things that I really know, like, yes, we're actually providing this. I just don't realize how much we're actually providing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And
It does.
I'm starting to realize that over the last couple months. And so it's something that I'm just wanting to refine and show up better and knowing exactly what we have to offer better.
Awesome. Cool. Love it. So let me give you guys a quick overview of how the course lays out. And I did something a little special for the hero squad here. We've got 5 group meetings every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Barbara and I chose the same time and day for both of our courses, which is awesome. And we're also there's probably more than 5 strategy calls, but at least I put it on paper. 5 strategy calls. If you don't use them within this 5 weeks, it doesn't matter. They never expire. You can save them. Call me next year, so we can save those 5 strategy calls. The group Slack channel, that's 24/7 access. I mean, do not be afraid to go into Slack and tag me and say something like, hey, I'm going to get on a call tomorrow. Can I run something by you? I want to make this course as great as possible. And this is all I have to do now is run Revenue Love. So take advantage of the time that I have, because I'm not doing Ebway. I'm not running projects. I'll be here in front of the computer working on this brand. So use it, and talk to each other, help each other, but open door communication day or night. And if I have Slack open, you'll see, the little green dot. Use it. Hit me up. Ask me questions. You want me to get on a sales call, or you want to record a sales call and send it to me? I'll listen to it. I'll give you pointers. Use it. So, and then resources. Everybody gets access to everything. I'm going to throw everything in Google Drive. That's where we'll keep everything now. I'll make sure you guys have the links and all that. Later on, we'll do the portal stuff. But for now, let's just keep it simple and easy. We're going to use Slack, Zoom, and Google Drive. Pretty simple. So now, Sales 101, the secret sauce. I wanted to bring you guys some value today, not just a silly little intro call. These are 2 things that I really live by. I don't think anybody hates sales. I really think they hate not selling, right? And sales is nothing more than helping the right person make the right decision if the decision is right. That's sometimes a good salesperson needs to say, we're not a good fit. Like, this isn't going to work out. So really, it's about finding the right person and helping them make the right decision. So sales is a learned skill. Nobody's born with it. I have never met anybody that was good at sales until they did it and did it and did it. And I hear it all the time with, oh, you got great one-liners. I've just been saying them for 10 years. It's doing it and doing it and doing it. So we're going to do role playing in this course. And whenever I do like an in-person thing, role play, I used to do a lot of sales training with my dad. Everybody rolls their eyes like, oh, I got to do sales training. Here's the benefit of role playing. If you can spin a pitch in front of this group, in front of your peers, and not stutter and not say 25 times, you can do it in front of a client way even easier. Make sense? Yes. And if I go too fast, stop me anytime. Let's get to the value today. So mindset. How many of you guys, just show of hands, would say you have a little bit of anxiety when it comes to sales or driving leads or revenue? You got a little bit of anxiety. That's usually the number one thing. I mean, Nate, you're a lot like me. I really get anxious if it's like a big deal, sometimes like, oh, these guys bigger than our normal customer. And I get a little anxious about the calls. So lesson 1, when anxiety attacks, and I've been through some really anxiety stuff, get outside, get away from the computer. Your brain actually works differently when you get away from the computer, and we need vitamin D. You need the sun to actually be healthy. If you stay inside, it'll just make it worse. So make sure you get outside. Lesson 2, get out of your head. Talk to somebody. Use the Slack channel. You know, I know, Duke, you'll reach out to Tempe and say, hey, I'm having a rough day. Help me out here. That's what we're all here for. Let us know that you need help if something's happening, because if you bottle up your thoughts and you let your wheels spin, here's what happens. Brain creates a story. Story creates energy. It's either good or bad. It's either going to blow you out of the water and ruin your day, or it's going to create a positive effect, right? So that's the stories we tell ourselves in our head can either cause anxiety or peace, right? Lesson 3, get connected. Human touch and conversation go a long way. I've called Cliff many times. Hey, I'm having a rough day. Can I just run it by you? So really good to just be connected, stay grounded. And breathe. This is a big one. Breathing has an immediate calming effect. And I want to tell you guys, because I'm quite the fitness buff. It's kind of my hobby passion. How many of you have been trained to breathe where you breathe in your nose and out your mouth, and that's the proper way? That's wrong. If you talk to any Olympic athlete, they'll say, no, you breathe in through your mouth, through your diaphragm to get as much oxygen as possible, and then you breathe out through your nose. That's what will lower your blood pressure.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a lot of things that we learn and we're told, they're actually not true. People are just repeating the wrong information because it sounds good, right? So lesson 5, understand, this is the most important, understand where anxiety comes from. Anxiety comes from a future that hasn't happened. And look, I know you almost wanted to say yet, right? A future that hasn't happened yet, which means it's going to happen. It's not yet. There's no yet. It hasn't happened. And you guys can think of that and remind yourselves, how many times was I anxious or worried about something and it never happened? Just remind yourself of those times. A lot of times I think we get preoccupied with, what if they say this? And what if this happens? And what about that? It hasn't happened. So let's not worry about it. Most important of all, I want to take a moment for this one, because I saw a lot of this in boot camp and you gurus. I saw it internally. Blame. Blame is tricky. So as a salesperson, if I blame the client or I blame somebody else for something not going my way, I'm actually removing my ability to resolve it. I'm putting it on them and it's not going to get resolved. Blame creates contention, creates stress, all kinds of stuff. Here's what also happens. Blaming myself, right? There's a difference between blame and acceptance, right? I can do something wrong and accept, okay, I screwed up and I choose to resolve this. I accept what happened. I'm going to resolve it. Blame doesn't resolve anything. It just creates anxiousness and anxiety. And once that starts to happen, again, brain starts to tell you a story. You blame somebody, you've basically just given them all the power to resolve it, and it's not going to get fixed on your end. Does that kind of make sense? You guys see how that works? So I think at the end of the day, it's about doing what you love. Defeat and victory are meaningless in the sales game. There is no defeat. There is no victory. There's only yes and no, right? You're going to hear no more than you hear yes. Here's a little tidbit. If you guys hear yes more than you hear no, your pricing is too low. Way easy indicator. You know, when I talk to people and they go, yeah, I've got like an 80% closing ratio. I go, that's terrible. That means your price is too low. You should have a 35% closing ratio. So now, Hero Huddle, what I really wanted to get to today, let me come back to that. Bonuses, special bonuses. Let me share my screen and show you guys what I put in the drive for you today. Hopefully everybody has access. If you don't, hit me up on Slack. When you get into the drive, of course, there's the course outline is there, but then I'll put folders in for each week. So week 0, the slide deck that I'm using today is in here, both PowerPoint and PDF, and there's a folder for bonus downloads. So here's a couple things. Some of you already know this and already have it. You have to have a playbook to do sales properly. That's part of my process. So if you don't have a playbook, grab one of those 3 that are up there and copy it. Create your own playbook. There is a markers plan down here. That's just a little bit different style of a playbook with like a quote in it. But I wanted to give you lots of options so you could see different playbooks. I don't care if you copy them, throw your logo on them, whatever. There's also a project estimator in here. And what I'll probably do is make a separate video on how to use that. Many of us are not estimating projects properly. We're guessing, right? I think that'll take 10 hours, forgetting that it took 20 hours last time. So it's an Excel sheet you can actually go through and you can say, I think all of these tasks, this is going to take a day, 2 days, whatever. You can put your rates in and it'll actually break out your cost to what you're charging, show you margins. It'll keep you guys correct. So maybe what we'll do, if we have some time today and you guys want to look at it, I will open it up and we'll do like a demo on how to set that up. Because I think the playbook and the estimator tool are like your number 1 tools. You're going to control your costs, make sure you have margins, and the playbook is going to remove all of the anxiety from the customer because they're anxious about how much you're going to charge. What are you going to charge? How much is it? So your playbook is like meeting number 1. Hey, look, here's how we price our stuff. This is how we come up with our pricing. So you guys can just address that elephant that's in the room and get rid of it so you can get to the business issues. Sound good?
Yeah.
Cool. And then here's a couple other bonuses. So how many of you have a CRM that you actively use? Okay. Do you guys know there's a difference between a lead and an opportunity?
Does Drive count?
No, it does not count. No, a customer relationship management system. And we can go over some good ones. But the big thing is having your pipeline. And the reason I brought up the lead versus opportunity is because you guys will get tons of leads, but you have a 0 chance of closing leads. So we don't spend time on leads. You might have 30, 40 leads. You might have 5 or 6 leads, whatever it is. The opportunities is where you spend your time. Those are the ones that you call and hound, and you call them till they buy or die because you've qualified them, right? They're qualified. They want what you have to offer. They have money. They have time. They're an opportunity. So that's what you spend your time on. And then when you run out of opportunities while you're doing your sales stuff, then you go to leads, right? And try to pull some more opportunities. So I put down what our closing ratios or what our move forward percentages are. Usually there's a 10% chance.
We're not seeing that, Jonathan, if you're
not seeing it
to see. You have to share screen.
Thank you.
John, while you do that, one of the things I wanted to tell them, so I've been doing some work with John for a few years as well. And one of the cool things that he just brought to mind, and he'll be sharing this along the way as well from what he shared with me, is that how to sell with integrity, how not to really sell where you're trying to just pitch your services. You want to find the right people who need it. So I know a lot of us here, all of us here hopefully are just running a business on integrity. So we don't sell snake oil. And so John taught me about one, and this one's really key. It's important to qualify, but make sure the people you're speaking to first can afford your services so then you don't have to have these hard sells. But then second, align yourself so you're not speaking think about cold email. People may just send a blast out to 100 people and hope they hit somebody, or you could send 10 specifically crafted emails to your ideal customer and have one solid conversation. And so as John speaks about pipelines and leads, one of the big things that he taught me along the way was one, make sure that you're prospecting the right people. And then when you do have those conversations, make sure there's alignment both ways. Oftentimes we're just trying to say, well, let me see how I can disqualify quickly. And with the service mentality in the sales process, John's taught me, it's helped me align myself in a way that I can enjoy the process a little better. And oftentimes when they come out of it, if they do sign up, we're solid.
Awesome. Thanks, Cliff. So there's a couple of uses for this. One of them is a hidden usage that we're going to go over later in the course. But if you guys notice, it says opportunity 10%, quote 30%, negotiate 70%. Those are pretty real numbers. Those are about industry average around, the web world. This is taken from Ebway. Once we get an opportunity, I have a 10% chance of that becoming a deal. Okay. Keep that in mind while we go through. If it's a quote, 30%. Negotiation, which means I've delivered the quote and they said, maybe, right? So we're negotiating, we're working the deal, 70% chance I'm going to get it. And then sold is 100. Here's why those numbers are important. When we look at CRMs and like Nate, I can use an Excel sheet. We've got tools. You don't have to go buy a piece of software. I want to put in my deal price, right? So I get an opportunity, $10,000 website. This is where forecasting comes into play. I don't know if you guys have ever seen like a forecast. Salesforce.com talks about forecasting and it's like this weird gray area for sales. But here's what happens when you look at a forecast. That $10,000 opportunity only translate to a possible $1,000 in revenue because you have a 10% chance of closing them, right? Quote, $3,000 worth of revenue. Negotiate, $7,000. Sold, the whole enchilada, $10,000. That's really important when it comes to forecasting so that you're looking at it going, okay, February is good, but wow, March is dead. I don't have anybody in the quote area or the negotiation area. And so it'll get rid of some of that roller coaster stuff that we go through because you'll be able to plan ahead. You'll be able to see where's my troubled spots. You cannot just bang on doors every day, all day. Sometimes you're going to have to do other stuff. So you need a way to trigger your brain to go, oh, I need to put my sales hat on, like really hit it. This is the way you do it with the forecasting, looking for the troubled spots. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Gretchen will be thrilled to see those percentages.
Yeah. And it's a great way to just go, you know what? I've got 3 people in my negotiate stage. I'm absolutely going to get maybe 2 of them, so you can really forecast accurately. And I put some notes in here. So what do you do with a lead? So if you have a CRM, these were like auto tasks that would show up for us. We used Nimble. Right now we're using HubSpot. I'm looking at Agile CRM. But basically, the lead has 3 tasks that I need to look at. That's it. Get their contact info, set up a 20-minute call, move them to the opportunity stage, or get rid of them. That's it. That's all I got to worry about. Once they're an opportunity, qualify them. Review my products and services, set up a discovery meeting, build some value, find out all the decision makers. Anybody going to pop up 3 weeks from now and be a decision maker? When you get to quote, review the quote one-on-one, call, screen share. As you guys know, don't email the quote till after. Put a time limit on your offer, just a little reminder. So whenever you guys are doing quotes and stuff, put an expiration date on it. You don't want that thing coming in signed a year later. I've had that happen. Set a follow-up call for negotiations. Don't forget to ask for the sale. That's a big deal. Even when you're quoting, even if you've gone over everything and they say, this all looks good, maybe they're backing up a little bit, you actually have to tell people what to do. Communication is dumbed down, I think, because of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Everything's so short. People don't know what to do. So make it clear. What I used to do in the quote, when I finish reviewing the quote, I would say, here's your next steps. You'll sign the quote. That'll come into us via email. We'll schedule your onboarding thing. I would just tell them what the process is. And then I would say, does that sound good to you? Are you ready to get going with this? I'm asking for the sale. Make sense? So negotiate. Use takeaways. You guys know what a takeaway is? Some of you might, because you've been in my boot camp course. Never lowered the price for no reason. So I'll negotiate. If they say, you know what, John, man, I'd love to do it, but I can only get like 10 grand. I don't have 15. Well, let's take some stuff out. And what I do is a needs versus wants. So let's create a list. What do you need? What can you not live without? And what are your nice to haves? What are your wants? Let's just do those in phase 2. Let's remove that stuff. Ask for the business. If they say no, ask them to explain why. That's like the best question in the world. Why not? What's going on? Don't be afraid to ask why. When they're sold, honor what you said. Like that's a big deal. I think our industry, the creative industry, there's very few people that do what they say, right? It doesn't take a lot of character to start a project. It takes a lot of character to finish it on time, within budget. Like you really gotta want to do that. It takes a lot of character. So honor what you sold. Wow them. I always throw in a bonus or something extra that we didn't even talk about. And I'll say, we had just a little bit of extra time while we were on your homepage, and we decided to throw in a chat box or, whatever. Like throw them something. People love to get free stuff. Ask for a testimonial. Connect with all your customers on social media. So, and if you guys want to create like a company account so they're not in your personal, you can do that. I always just did it personally. Like, well, if they don't like me personally, I don't want to do business with them anyways. And watch for or be aware of the add-on sales. So once they're sold, I think a lot of times we forget about them. We just, they're sold. Great. Follow up with them. Have a schedule where 3 months, 6 months, every quarter, every year, you're reaching back out. What else can we do for you guys? Welcome, Olivier. So glad you're here.
Hey, guys. Sorry for being late. Big day. All right, just keep going. I'll
just keep going. No, we're good. And we're recording this. Olivier is, he's from Canada. He identifies as a French male. He speaks English and Canadian. So framework, basic sales stages. I think you've got your lead, then you've got your opportunity, you've got your quote, your negotiate, your close. It's a pipeline. So I don't care if you do it from left to right in columns or if you do it in a circle or whatever, just know what your sales stages are. It's when we set up our CRM, it's all about the stages. It's all about the pipeline. That's what it's all about. And this is a big thing for me. Sales is about love and self-respect. And I don't want it to sound cheesy. It really, like, you've got to love your prospects. Like, here's my attitude towards you guys. Why did I call you a hero squad? You trusted me and gave me money when I sent you a Google Doc, right? Like, here, this is what I got. I actually did that on purpose. There was a couple of Cliff Notes. There was one guy in particular that was like, wow, it sounds like it's really high value, but this stuff really doesn't look professional. I'm like, I did that on purpose, right? Because I don't want somebody coming in thinking this is like a clean, dialed in thing. This is very organic. Done is the new perfect. I don't need to wow you guys with a branded PowerPoint of all this fancy confetti. I'm a big just get to the point. Tell me what's up and let's move on. That's it. When I did podcasts, and Cliff has been on my podcast, I don't think I had one that went over 7 minutes. It was always, here you go, boom, quick. So love the prospects, their time, their needs, understand their fears, provide solutions. The bigger problem that you solve, the more money you'll make. So you've got to dig for the big problems, right? What is the issue? How are we going to solve it? Websites are worthless. You can go to Wix if that's all you want is a website. What's the problem? What are you guys trying to solve? And I think I've only got just one or two more. My contact info. So, and you guys, you have a link to this. Olivier, there's a Google Drive, so you guys will get this. You can email me at Revenue Love. You can call me. You can text me. Slack is usually always on. Olivia, I told everybody earlier, I want this to be an open door policy. So, you want to run something by me or run something by the group, use the tool. Use the tool. What's next? So next week, we're going to get into like the core of the program. And there's a thing called an ascension model that I used to teach and talk about. And I have now found out that that's not a great model. I actually don't like the ascension model. So I came up with an acceleration model. And here's the problem. And if you guys know what the ascension model is, picture a ladder, going like stairs. And your first stair is your free offer. The second stair is your $99 video or whatever. And your third stair is a one-on-one consulting call. And your fourth stair is website. And your fifth one is marketing and recurring revenue. And, like guys like Ree Perez that do branding, they have this ascension model that starts with a free offer and goes all the way up to an $80,000 engagement. And what they do is they're kind of farming their customers, right? Here, start here, and then level up, level up, level up, level up. The problem with that ascension model, you're not letting them start where they actually should start. The acceleration model says, oh, you should actually be in the middle of my ascension model. Like, we need to tell them this, you don't want to start here. You actually need to do this other thing. You know, you need to figure out how to pay this cost because of where you're at in business. So that's the acceleration model. Let's skip the 5 cheap steps and let's get them in as a $5,000 recurring client now. Let's, if you can, right? At all costs, let's try to get the highest value customers we can and work backwards if we need to. If you start with the lowest price, that's going to be what they want. You know, if you start with the low offer, the intro offer, they're going to be comparing that. But if you come in at the mid or high range, then they're like, wow, I didn't know people spend $50,000 on this. So 10 grand actually doesn't sound that bad, right? It's like an anchor, right? It's a subconscious thing that happens. We'll have some examples, and I want you guys to have a playbook by next week. That's why you can copy mine. I think I even have the InDesign files if you want the master, so you can just copy and replace, right? I'll load that up into Drive, but have a playbook. I'll show you guys how to use it. It will. Olivier, do you use a playbook? I think you've got one.
Yeah, I do. It's yeah. I use actually it's a SOPs kind of. It's a Google Sheets. I'll show you if you want, but it's a Google Sheets with a bunch of SOPs in it. And whenever I want to delegate something, I just send the number of the SOPs, and the staff can go in and see the procedure there.
So that's SOP, standard operating procedure, right?
Yeah. Well, that works very well. It's kind of new, and I started using this for some delegation, and it's perfect. You can use videos. You know, sometimes people think that the procedure has to be written step by step, but to start with, you basically record your screen, and you cut paste the link there, your Loom link or your Cloud App link, and people just go step by step. Like, look, watch this video and come back to me if you have any questions, and then you can update your SOP if the question is good.
Awesome. So let's come back.
It works even better if you have a productized business, for sure, because it has to be standard and not custom.
I think all of us should have some kind of product, something that's easy to sell, something that's quick, maybe a low price and a high price, but having some sort of productized service sales becomes easy. You know, the pitch is always the same and the solution is always the same. And the only way to have a productized service is to really have a good niche and to know what their problem is. To give you guys an example, when I worked with the HVAC world, their whole thing was, we got to sell more maintenance agreements. We can sell $20,000 units all day long, but these little $100 and $200 a month maintenance agreements, nobody's selling them. Like, that's a huge problem. And when it's wintertime and nobody wants air conditioning, we're dead. There's no revenue. So we created a little like e-commerce portion in all of our web templates that was the maintenance sales tool. And then we would teach them how to use it, right? And we charged a lot of money for this, but we were like, look, take your technician, and when he goes in to do the diagnosis, have them hand the customer an iPad to say, yeah, we are happy with our service, and have a little checkbox there with, oh, there's a maintenance plan. So we would give them a solution, right, to their problem. So the pitch was always the same, and it was kind of like I was reading their mail. They were like, wow, we haven't talked to anybody that actually knows we had that problem, you know?